move on. Okay. In our last class, we um, continued on this um, subject, introduction to oil and gas, an exposition of it. That was a general overview, and we went on to talk about the two streams that we have in the oil and gas industry, basically the up, the upstream and the downstream. I remember I mentioned that when you go further in this course, in your higher levels, you may be introduced to a midstream, or you will be introduced to a midstream. All right. So, but for at this stage or at this level, we look at it under two stream sectors, which is upstream and downstream. And we did a lot talking about the upstream up to we talked about refinery, and then we went delved into the downstream sector. And we said the downstream sector. I remember I said the upstream sector has to do with exploration and production. All right, that's what we call E&P. Maybe a company say they into E&P, they into exploration and what production. Okay, now from the process of finding the crude or locating the reservoirs, the, the area, the region, carrying out seismic surveys, then drilling and bringing it to the surface, and then kind of processing. Okay, from that point of um, processing from the refinery down, we start looking at the downstream. Okay, so we say the downstream includes operations that processes and stores, markets, and transports food or natural gas like protein, or protein. Remember, now I mentioned something that there is what we call the LNG and LPG. Okay, liquefied natural gas and liquefied natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas. Alright, the liquefied natural gas refers to the methane gases uh, that are being compressed, subjected to high pressure, and leads to when you subject gases, when you compress gases, subject them to high pressure, reduce their volume. Their molecules are very random. Alright, so but if you can compress it by subjecting it to pressure and the lesser volume, you discover that you are able to convert it to what is liquid form. So it's this form that can be handled, that can be transported, that can be stored, that can be and they are stored in either cylinders or gas tanks as we may have, or bottles. Okay, glass bottles. Those are metallic material. Alright. Why? Because of the nature of the gases, because of the volatile nature. So you have to be sure that they are properly sealed and kept properly. As we talk about storage of gases. So we have natural gas liquids. The one the one you use in your cooking is called LPG. That's liquefied petroleum gas, and it's a combination of these two, butane and propane. All right. So the downstream sector includes, or we said it includes all oil refineries and petrochemical plants. Now it also includes petroleum product distribution via affiliated retail outlets. What do we mean? From depots where they distribute depot, passing from the transport through pipelines, some are transported through vessels and big ships, or ship and then stored in very large storage facilities of tanks, and then from there they are dispensed to other tankers which now carried to different filling stations to go store it in their own reservoir tank and their underground tank or storage facilities, from where it is now metered or dispensed also to the final consumer. That's all of us that go to the filling stations to buy, whether you are buying gas or you are buying petrol or you are buying that's your PMS. I said another word for petrol is PMS, premium motor spirit, and in our previous class, we showed the refinery structure. I remember we also showed that the different fractions from the crude oil. Alright, so now a lot of them, gasoline and the rest of them. Okay. Now they also have the grease and the thicker or the heavier fractions that come from the fractional distillation of crude, which are maybe the greases, the oils, and the thicker oil. And they also have bitumen or asphalt. Those ones are used for making of roads, also used for some other products like tires and the rest of them. Right? So it's important to take note of all this stuff. The petroleum product distribution guidelines should be secretive aspects. One of the alternatives to take note of an assignment now already as I'm talking on the giving and just stating your assignment. Okay. You're already conversant with the reporting channel for the assignment. So number one assignment is for you to list all forms of affiliated retail outlets, all forms of affiliated retail outlets for petrochemicals. List, list, next, list. In fact, turn that list to enumerate all retail, all forms of retail outlets, all forms of retail outlets for petroleum product distribution, product distribution. Okay, so now I also have for national distribution companies too, within other operations, natural gas distribution companies. So natural gas is a very important fuel um, in the industry. Uh, used in gas turbines, a lot of other combustion engines or systems, and it's also in very high demand because it's kind of it is environmental friendly. What do I mean? It's a clean process for energy usage. Okay, that's because gas is born as good as completely. That explains why when you use a good cooking gas, you're not your cooking gas that is faulty. If you have a good cooking gas and you have a stove, if your stove runs on kerosene, your cooking gas or your gas cooker rather, yeah, it's running on LPG. Okay, you discover that when you use the gas cooker, your pot doesn't get black. When you use kerosene stove, it gets black. That's because the kerosene does not combust completely. So the kind of flame you get from there is a sooty flame. You understand? But the gas combusts completely. When I'm talking about combustion, even when it's burning, it burns completely. And so you have just carbon monoxide and H2O in that kind of combustion. But in the combustion of um, kerosene, you're still going to be having sorry, I said carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide and H2O. Pardon me. Carbon dioxide, that's CO2. Um, and H2O form of steam in the combustion of gas is complete combustion. But in complete combustion, you are going to have the hydrocarbon combusting with oxygen to give hydrogen, give you carbon monoxide, that's CO, to give you CO2 and the H2O. Now that CO is the one that causes black. That is the one that comes with black six. Okay, and it's usually not it's not environmental friendly. All right, so that explains also why we have in high demand the lesser hydrocarbons because they are better for most of our uh, systems. Okay. Now, we also have it also explains the reason for cracking. I hope you know what cracking is right now. So, we're breaking down heavier hydrocarbons into smaller hydrocarbons to um, to, um, to smaller hydrocarbons because we want to meet the demand for those smaller hydrocarbons. Okay, so it's to supplement the demand for those smaller hydrocarbons. All right. So the downstream industry markets products such as petrol, which I just explained, diesel as your HEO, you know, the jet fuel, asphalt, lubricants, plastic fertilizer, plastic fertilizer, antifreeze, and even some pharmaceuticals and cosmetics. Yes, some pharmaceutical products and chemicals are also gotten from here. The typical example is naphtha and your methylated spirit, for instance. Now, those methylated spirits, after they also got it from this, they are methylated spirit. Now, if you check your methylated spirits, next time just check the back of the bottle. It's always a combination of alcohol and naphtha. Alright, that naphtha is an active strategic. Alcohol is for healing of the it's to create an environment that will not that the germs will not survive in. Alright. So that explains the operation mechanism too for your hand sanitizers. Alright. Okay, I know somebody's taking it upon that. Oil refineries are now we talked about I just want this to like an overview for with oil refineries actually maintaining hydrocarbons or in different parts of the world contains different portions of various hydrocarbons and the refinery in many parts of the world including UK, Liverpool, Beaufort, North Sea, Jamaica. North Sea oil is relatively high in naphtha, which is used for making plastic. Alright, so the naphtha I'm talking about is used in plastic making. There's been so many other areas. We have so many of them, so many so many uses. So the other assignment is to apart from fuel, apart from fuel, uh, apart from fuel, hmm, outline other applications, outline as much as possible. When I say as much as possible, I'm expecting a minimum of 10, a minimum of 10. Outline that's assignment number two, outline other applications of petrol of petroleum products outline other applications of petroleum products. So you know what I mean by that? When I talk about the petroleum product, you tell me where it's being applied and all that stuff. The area, the kind of things it's being used for, or areas that it's being used to carry out any form of usage. So, obviously, that would outline apart from food, outline other usage application of the trading tool. Okay. Deadline for submission of all the assignments I'll be mentioning as before is excuse me, is Friday, this Friday. Okay, 12 noon on Saturday. 12 noon on Saturday. Alright. 12 noon on Saturday. Any other submission after that time, please take note of that. I hope you get me clearly, please. Alright, so this is the picture of the different refineries and what they look like. We have other refineries in Nigeria. I've been cracking out, I've been worried, I've been for support. We also have one which is right now and it's undergoing construction. And that's the Dangote refinery. The Dangote refinery is going to be about the biggest in Africa. Yes, when it's completed. Alright, so these are examples of refineries. This tall or massive or high rising vessels we are looking at examples of the fractional distillation column. And you can see inside it there are also some tanks because it was also being used for temporary storage and others before they are being or while they are being processed. Alright, so what of this is I think I've shown us this before. Um, okay, okay. Yeah, this was the refinery process. I've shown us this before. Alright, so the refinery process looks like this. You have this is a slope chart, the process flow diagram of a refinery process. Alright, this just explains that we have the oil refinery where we have crude oil coming in and all the things and other feedstock. And then when it's heated up, we are going in energy is applied to heat it up. Now what happens is that at the top we collect refinery gases that methane and the rest. And then next is what LPG. Another assignment I want to give you explain the factors responsible for the explain the factors responsible. Let's take note of that. I hope you are writing that down. Explain the factors responsible for fractional distillation. Explain it. Not just stating them now, but we also explain the factors responsible for fractional distillation of crude. Uh, I've mentioned this before in one of our classes, so I'm expecting to be able to properly. Alright, so we have different fractions like that. They come out from the other others. Now, the life cycle in our last class, I delved into this to find the kind into exhausted extensive, so I'm going to that today before we finish and before the class ends. So, eventually, this so well, if we eventually we have any other classes, it will now be more for revision and class. Okay, everything is up to or any other attention. Alright, so as I was saying, the life cycle of processing oil field it consists of 5 stages. Well, as you go higher anyway, you're going to be introduced to when we are going to understand that after we have tried having about 6 of them. But for this level, we deal with 5 of the stages. And I've said you use each part to remember them. Each part, EADPA. Alright, it's in that order. So don't mix the order. Don't bring production before exploration. You, the egg and chicken. Which one existed first? Okay, so that's really counts anyway. Alright, so exploration, appraisal, development, production, and abandonment. Exploration, appraisal, development, production, and abandonment. Alright, so what we're talking about, let's take the first one, which is exploration. Exploration, we've explained that before in the previous class, and I explained this also. Okay, so we look at exploration as the process of finding oil and gas fields. I explained that at the very first one, the first thing you do, which is exploration, to find oil. Now, what are the activities that are involved in exploration? They are usually described as geological and geophysical activities. Geological and geophysical activities. Okay, geological and geophysical activities. All right. Now, the first thing is to conduct seismic survey, to carry out surveys in the location. Seismic survey, then sending in ultraviolet sounds or high frequency sound waves into the location, and then we get feedback. We'll say, okay, the feedback is a reflection of the sound wave. Those of you that did physics, you understand that sound waves usually, some of them are reflection of sound waves. Waves, when they hit on something, they bounce back, something it's repeat. When these waves, high frequency waves, send down to the earth, they are able to penetrate and still bounce back. Now, that return, that uh, reflection, or that return, that bouncing back in both is what we call the reflection. Okay? It's just like in physics, one talks about noise. We say noise is the multiple reflection of sound waves. Or sorry, yeah, noise. In this case, is what we have in this case is that kind of reflection of sound waves. Then, as it's sent back, the process can interpret the seismic data and map the potential reservoir. Alright. Then after that, after yeah, hello, so after that is done, then we select exploration well location. So from there, we'll be able to tell. First of all, you have to be sure that the quantity that is there is commercially viable. You understand? So that will help in that selecting the location. Then we drill and evaluate the exploration well data. As we are drilling, we're also looking at the exploration well data that we are getting from that location. Then for analysis to establish the porosity and permeability, logging data and all that. So we carry out all this process up to now building a computer model for the reservoir. I hope you can hear me. I think the network is a bit fluctuating, but I think I think you can hear me now. Alright. So we say we carry this out up to where we now build a computer model for the reservoir and identify where possible to remove major uncertainties by further data analysis, assessment processing, etc. So we have some softwares that are used in the oil and gas industry for this kind of simulation. Our process is called simulation. So we simulate more activities in the reservoir and we can start monitoring, even predicting more and more exact or more accurate form of prediction based on the dynamics of such wells. Okay. Now, the other part is appraisal. Alright, appraisal. The objective of appraisal is to obtain information about the reservoir in order to make decisions whether or not to proceed with the development of the field. This stage comprises of number one, let's talk about the planning execution of the data acquisition of the data acquisition program of additional testing because we keep carrying out some testing surveys to be sure and to be reassured, at every time. To be sure and to be reassured of what is available there. Then we also have evaluation of results from the seismic data and all the rest up to when we now conduct an initial conceptual field development plan, and they also do what we call the EIA, environmental impact assessment, because we need to show of the environmental impact. You have to be sure of the environmental impact of the activity that we are carrying out in such area or region or location. Alright, then we have the developmental stage, and then in the developmental stage, well, there are four components that make up the developmental stage. Number one is the reservoir. The developmental stage is where we are building or installing or constructing the facilities or the necessary uh, uh, fact, processes that will help in getting this whole production active. okay, or then executed, successfully executed. So we have the reservoir, we have the well, we have the facilities, then we have operating and maintenance strategies. So those are the four areas of the four components of the development plan. Okay, we describe them in four areas. Reservoir, that's the number, location, type of wells, assessment of the oil recovery system, and then we have the well itself, the design of the well to meet production requirements. So the well has to be designed in such a way that whatever production requirements set up for that location, we are able to achieve it. Then the facilities, I've talked about the process facilities, the infrastructure, the terminal, export facilities. Because you are when exporting or processing your food or carrying out both case always is rather. So those facilities now are all under the developmental stage. Alright? Then we have the operating and maintenance strategies because you have to ensure that these facilities are maintained. You have to also ensure that the operations is carried out seamlessly. You know, you have to really look at how you can move people. Operation will also involve movement of the logistics or movement of your personnel in and out of that location. So most times you need to be arrangement from helicopters or choppers. You know, the supply vessels that will be bringing or carrying out uh, group from the sub locations or movement from sub locations and the rest of them. So all this involves operation and maintenance strategy. Alright, so your assignment number 4 is for you to extensively explain the life cycle, extensively explain the life cycle of all processing, food oil processing. Okay, you're going to take in from the four food oil so the five um, processes that we're discussing: exploration, appraisal, development, production, and abandonment. So I want you to go through a thorough study on them and also uh, extensively explain alright the life cycle of processing of oil fields. Okay, so we've talked about development, then we have what production. In production, the main activities that constitute production one is to regulate production and injection to meet approved plan for the quantity and quality of the product. Those are two important factors. The quantity of the product and the quality of the product in getting out. Then we also monitor and record all information to manage the reservoir and wells. Then now there could also be further reservoir development. This is also very important to note that. So we have all these activities up to where we carry out maintenance to safeguard the technical integrity of the wells. If you don't do that, you could have the wells subsiding, you could have the wells closing up, or you could even have the wells um, having what call where they start experiencing a drop in their production rate. So what that means is that and it can get to a point where it's no longer profitable to run that way. That the cost of running that way is not up to the amount you're making from the oil that it is producing. Now that when such a thing happens, it brings about the other stage which is called abandonment. Alright. But before we go to that, this is just these are pictures of what onshore and offshore facilities look like for operation. Yes, Mr. Yomi, just 2 minutes, please. Yeah, just 2 minutes. I know, we started a little bit. Correct. So these are the pictures, and then this is what a drilling platform looks like. So your assignment number 5 is for you to list all the drilling platforms known, list all offshore drilling platforms and the depth to which they reach. These are examples. You have a lot of them, the fixed platform, the tower the what called city compliance tower. They also have the SS of S star, which we call C star. They have different um, dates that they reach. They also have one that is called uh, uh, the FPSO. Alright, so we are going to list all platforms and the depth to which they reach. Right? List all